How is it going, everybody? You're watching Then About Tech, and today I'm going to talk about the top 5 iPhone battery myths. There are actually many more than 5 iPhone battery myths, but those ones are the most important, are the biggest ones, because they literally make people use their iPhone wrong and charge their iPhone wrong, which is so bad for the battery life of those iPhones in the long run. All right, so let's get started. And myth number 1 has to do with battery cycles. And it's actually incredible the amount of people that still have questions and still misunderstand battery cycles in 2021. A lot of people still think that they can control, they can manipulate and kind of hack their iPhone battery, specifically the battery cycle count, by the way they charge their iPhone. Many people think that a battery cycle is only counted if you charge your iPhone from 0 to 100%. So they believe it's by the way they charge their iPhone. So what they actually do is charge their iPhone from 20 to 80%, for example, repeatedly every single time, so they never go from 0 to 100, meaning that a battery cycle will never be counted, following their argument and following their understanding. All right, or sometimes they charge from 0 to 50 and then 0 to 50 and always on that range. But that's actually not how it works. It's actually the other way around. A battery cycle is only counted when you discharge 100% of your battery. Not when you charge it, but when you discharge it. So if your iPhone is at 100% of battery and you use it until it goes to 0, until it dies completely, that's okay. That's one cycle. You discharged 100%. But if you're using your iPhone at 50%, for example, and then you go from 50 to 0, and then you charge it to 50 and go from 50 to 0 once again, that's one cycle the same way. It's the exact same thing because you have discharged your battery 50% and then 50%. 50 plus 50, 100. So that's the exact same thing. So bottom line here for myth number 1, you can't control your battery cycle count by the way you charge your iPhone. If you want to control it, if you want to have less cycles on your iPhone battery, the only thing you can do is actually use less your iPhone. So use it less and then your battery will last longer. You can't control your battery cycle count by the way you charge it. Now let's talk about myth number 2, and it has to do with the first charge. A lot of people still today think that your iPhone first charge has to be different from the others. It's a special charge, and when you open up your iPhone from the box for the first time, you should charge it differently for many hours. So some people think that the first thing you should do once you open it up and pick up your iPhone is just plug it into the charger and leave it charging for 10, 12, or 16 hours. Like, some people still believe that, and others think that they can use their iPhone, the little bit of battery that it comes with, sometimes 30-40% that it generally comes with, and then you can use it to activate your iPhone and use it to set it up and everything. And then once the battery dies, you should charge it for the same 8, 10, 12, or 16 hours in a row in order for the battery to be good. All right. Let me explain. That doesn't exist anymore. It just does not exist anymore. Some people still believe in this because back in the day, really back in the day, like over 10 years ago, cell phones had a different battery technology, and those batteries, they had something called memory. So then you would have to actually charge those batteries for many hours in order for they to memorize the correct capacity of the battery. Okay, but that was a completely different technology. Smartphones use lithium-ion batteries for over 10 years, and those batteries don't require that. You don't need that. So your first charge on a brand new iPhone should be just like any other charge. So you can pick it up, start using it. When it dies, you plug it in and continue using it. Or you can just pick it up and plug in immediately and start using it. It's up to you. You can use and you can charge your iPhone any way you want. The first charge is just like any other charge. Myth number 3 also has to do with charging, but it has to do with fast charging. And a lot of people think that a charger like this one, a fast charger, is actually very bad for your iPhone battery because it charges too quickly and it heats up your iPhone, so it will degrade, it will damage your battery, and it will give you a much shorter battery lifespan as a whole. And that's not true, okay? That's a complete myth. And in my opinion, that's because, firstly, iPhone users are not really used to fast charging, all right? If you think about it and if you start to remember, Apple has only included a fast charger like this in the box for the previous generation of the iPhone, for the iPhone 11 Pro. So that's extremely recent, and it took them so long to do that. If you think about it, Android users have been using fast chargers for many years. So for iPhone users, it's a little bit weird to have a charging so fast and heating the iPhone a little bit and doing those things. And many people think that's bad for the battery. But it's not, guys. Just think about it. If you have a MacBook, for example, MacBooks also charge in fast charge. So if you touch them, they get hot when they're charging. It's the exact same thing. And we've been using fast chargers for MacBooks for ages and no one's complained about it. And about the heating thing, your iPhone will just get a little bit warmer compared to the old 5-watt charger, but it won't overheat or anything like that. So fast charging is safe. You can use, no problem. It won't damage your battery. That's just a myth. Now let's talk about myth number 4, and it also has to do with the way you charge your iPhone. So many people actually think and believe that you shouldn't let your iPhone battery go under 20%. So when it reaches 20%, they go ahead, plug it in and charge it up. Or when it goes to 15, 10, 5, I've heard so many percentages, and many people say that you shouldn't let your iPhone battery die completely, so go to 0. So none of that is actually true. All of those are myths, and there's no problem letting your iPhone battery go under 20, 10, 15, 5, or even 0%. No problem about that. You can charge your iPhone at whatever percentage you want. But there's a recommendation, and this is very important, and it has to do with not letting your iPhone charge over 80%. I'm not talking about under 20 or under whatever. I'm talking about over. All right. This is very important. When you charge your iPhone over 80%, you're using something called trickle charging. And trickle charging is actually very bad for your battery. That's not me. I'm not the one who's saying that. Apple is saying that, and all the biggest battery specialists and institutes like Battery University and many other studies. So pay attention. This will make sense. So when you charge your iPhone past 80% and you keep it charged over 80 and leave it in the wall plugged in at 100%, for example, which is even worse, you're using this thing called trickle charging, which is very bad because it's very stressful for your battery. It creates a high voltage situation for your battery, and it's very stressful for the battery to remain at those high percentages continuously charged. That's very bad, right? And everything makes sense and everything becomes so clear when you remember that Apple has a feature built in iOS in your settings. This is native, all right? So it's no app or anything. This is a native feature called optimized battery charging. And this feature, what it pretty much does is prevent your battery from being charged over 80%, right? So it will keep your battery at 80% for as much longer as it can, for as many hours as it can, because charging it over 80 is very bad for the battery, all right? So everything makes sense. This is called trickle charging. Don't leave your iPhone plugged in over 80%. I have a specific video on this if you want to check it out. It's right here, and also in the description I'll leave it for you. So if you want to learn everything about trickle charging and this whole thing in detail, I have this other video, but in this one I just want to talk about it quickly because this is another huge myth, and it's very important that you understand. And finally, we have myth number 5, and it has to do with fake cables and chargers. Not only fake, but also low quality, bad quality chargers and cables for your iPhone. Many people think that they can use fake Apple accessories or very low quality, like $1 cables and $1 chargers to charge their iPhone because there's no problem. The iPhone has protections and nothing will happen. That's right, your iPhone does have some degree of protection, both hardware and software, so it can protect you from shortcuts or some kind of high voltage situations and things like that, but to some extent, really. So you shouldn't rely on those low quality fake cables and fake accessories as a whole. You're spending so much money on a device, an expensive device, and maybe you're trying to save $10 or $5 in order to get a bad quality cable. Just don't do it. So my recommendation is only use authentic Apple accessories, always. Or if you want to get something different with more features, something a little bit unique or a little bit more robust, for example, you can try third-party accessories. So if you want to get a third-party cable, look for the MFI certification. And if you want to get a charger, there is no Apple certification for third-party chargers, but my recommendation here is go to the Apple Store and check which brands Apple sells on their own store, because the brands they sell, they're the brands they trust. So you can buy brands like Anchor, Mophie, Belkin, and a few others. So then you can trust those brands, but not any brand that you see. Again, don't trust your multi-hundred, maybe $1,000 device on a cheap, low quality, fake replica accessory. It's just not really smart. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed my top 5 iPhone battery myths. Hope it was helpful to you. Hope you can understand more about cycles, battery health, charging, lithium-ion batteries, and many other things that we talked about in this video. Please keep in mind that I have other videos on the channel about this, about battery, and about all of those subjects that I have discussed. I'm gonna put cards throughout the video and also links in the description, so you can go ahead and check it out and browse my channel. If you don't know me, if you don't know Daniel Baltag, that's a good opportunity to get to know my content. All right, so that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys in the next video as usual. Bye bye.